Wednesday, Locked on Syracuse Podcast, and we've got a treat for you today because our buddy, my old roommate, Tim's old friend, Drew Carter, is going to join us. He's calling the game for ESPN for the Syracuse and Liberty game. So we will get into all things Syracuse, all things Liberty, a little trip down memory lane for some old Syracuse memories as well on today's show. Also, want to let you know that the show is on YouTube, so if you're not subscribed to us there, what are you waiting for? You're going to get all the video content that you could want for Syracuse football, basketball, recruiting, all that good stuff. And if you want to see us in the flesh as well, you can find us on YouTube. Also, subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, the Odyssey app, wherever. We're there for you, Locked on Syracuse. Be sure to subscribe to us. Only place to get daily Syracuse podcasts. And we also are on Twitter at @LO_Syracuse. We love when you guys tweet your thoughts along with us during games, during shows, all that stuff. It is pretty much our version of like callers and stuff like that. So without further ado, let's get into it. Here is Drew Carter. All right, the old roommate is here. It's Drew Carter from ESPN joining us here on the Locked on Syracuse podcast. This is a special treat for us because Drew is on the call of this weekend's game between Syracuse and Liberty. You're 24 years old, man. I mean, are you pinching yourself about this? Actually, I don't even want the humble answer from you because we knew you would be here. If anything, this feels like a delay. But first of all, congratulations. This is awesome that you're at this point in your career right now at 24 years old. But how does it feel? You're going back to Syracuse for the first time since you graduated.
Yeah, well, thanks, Ty. It's a pleasure to be on, and this really is the pinnacle so far, being on Locked on Syracuse. I am a loyal listener.
I gotta say, I think you are the first guest who's ever come on the show that's actually listened to the show beforehand. Like, Goody definitely blows smoke up our asses about actually listening to us, but like, you, I think, are the only one that actually has listened to us.
But because I've listened, I know that that's not true, because Kevin Belby listened to at least 5 minutes of a Locked on Syracuse.
Wow, that's true.
Because I remember, and Kevin is my agent and one of my best friends, so I know Kevin very well. I listened to him when he was on the show to talk about Boeheim's Army, and I was like, wow, this guy really listens. So he either
at least his intern listened, is what he said. His intern jotted down some notes there. Yeah.
He's got his intern.
You might want to slide in that Tim has Tyrese Rice's old headband at one point.
I know. I was very impressed by that poll. So I might drop one of those at some point, but I have been listening to the show. I really like the show. Obviously, we go way back, all three of us. You know, we're all in the same graduating class at Syracuse, class of 2019. It's a little younger. But yeah, you're right, man. It is going to be surreal. I was just telling you guys before we started that I'm going to be emotional, I think, this week. I haven't been back to Q since we graduated a couple of years ago, and I'm going to drive past all the places we used to live. Ty, we roomed together 3 times. I'll drive past all those houses. I'll drive past the dorms. It's going to be crazy, and then we'll be up in the booth. And, I mean, I really do think I'm going to tear up at some point, especially because we've got the same crew that we all worked with when we were doing games as college students. So our producer is Kristen Hennessy. Our director is Scott Hecht. They're both phenomenal. And if you think I'm not going to get emotional up there, you're an idiot.
You get the real spacious booth.
Yeah. You get the big booth. I think Tully's probably. I mean, we have to go to Tully's, right?
Well, you've got so many options now for these first, because, I mean, you know the lay of the land here at this point. And, you can hit all the different spots that you want now. So, all right, you got to give us the rundown. What you're getting in? What, Thursday afternoon?
Yep. So we've got a coaches meeting with Dino Thursday at noon, and then, which I guess will be before this airs, right? I don't know.
No, this thing's coming out right away. We're just gonna pump it out right away.
Love it. Perfect. So we've got a coaches meeting with Dino at noon. Right after that, I'm going to pick up my dry cleaning and head straight to Syracuse. I'm just driving. I moved up to Hartford, Connecticut, which is about 4 hours from Syracuse. So it'll be an easy drive. It just made a lot more sense than flying. Plus, if I drive, it gives me all the time I want to just take a trip down memory lane, which is where I'll be living this week, is on memory lane. So I'm just driving up Thursday, and I'll probably stay through Saturday, maybe leave Sunday morning.
Yeah, my bearings are all off because it's the Friday game.
It's weird.
Right.
It's weird.
Yeah, I should know this, Drew, but who are you calling the game with? I just saw you were doing it, and I got jacked up and didn't even look.
Just me solo.
Yeah.
But no
Eagle for that.
Yeah, there you go. It's Bobby Carpenter, who played linebacker at Ohio State and was a first-round pick, And it's cool because Bobby and I worked together last week. And I don't know if you guys or the listeners might have seen what happened in our game. We were outside Phoenix for high school football, and Bishop Gorman, who's a powerhouse, top 10 team in the country, was up 17 points with just over a minute to play. And this team, Hamilton, which was at home, came all the way back and won. They recovered 2 onside kicks in the last minute, which was hilarious because Bishop Gorman's head coach is also the special teams coordinator. So he was just losing it on the sideline. It was really funny. But it was an amazing game. So Bobby and I had a great time last week. We're back together this week. And we've got Taylor Davis on the sidelines. She's an Auburn grad, which is cool for me because I worked in Birmingham for the past 2 years, so we can talk about that. But she's covered games at Auburn, and that being her alma mater, she's telling me a little bit about how it's going to be, and I'm going to be emotional, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, for anyone who didn't see, if you saw a high school football game on your Twitter timeline over this past week, that was Drew's voice that you heard. I think it's up to like 3 million views now. I might even be shortchanging you there. So I'm going to say it's like 5 million views now because it probably is closer to 5 than the 3 that I just threw out there. But okay, so Syracuse and Liberty. This is a game that Tim and I have kind of dubbed a litmus test of sorts for Syracuse. Same thing we said about the Rutgers game. Did not pass that first test, but you've got another chance at it now against Liberty. Just in your initial research and stuff on Syracuse, what have you seen out of the Orange, and what's been the biggest shocker for you for this Orange team, aside from Aaron Service still being on the roster?
Well, I'm glad you said that because I did text you when I started my prep, and I said Aaron Service has broken the space-time continuum by still being on this roster. Like, how is that possible? I swear he was a redshirt senior when we were in college.
He probably was.
I think he was, yeah.
So that was crazy. It's not just Service, too. Like, Eric Coley, I actually shifted one spot over on my chart because I think he used to play free safety, and now he's listed as a B safety, whatever that. What is the B?
The boundary safety.
Yeah.
Boundary safety. Okay, never seen that one before.
It's the Tony White era now.
Okay.
Are you going to talk to Tony White?
I think we will, yeah.
Okay, you have to ask him if he's staging a coup. Because this is unbelievable that the defense gets to do all these amazing things, and then the offense doesn't pick up its own slack.
Yeah,
because
the defense,
Nick Monroe, I mean, if I'm them, I'm frustrated as hell every single week.
I agree, and that I'm glad you said that, Tyler, because in all honesty, that is the biggest surprise from my prep initially. So we had a little like quasi-production meeting on Monday, really just to kind of introduce everyone, and I knew everyone because I've worked with them all before. But it was Kristen, our producer, Taylor, Bobby, and me. And Kristen was talking, and she said, this is a really interesting matchup. It's 2 of the best defenses in the country. And I thought, I just assumed that she, misspoke because, based on our time at Syracuse, guys, like, how could the defense be one of the best in the country? Right. I just assumed she meant offense because you've got Malik Willis for Liberty, and we'll talk about him. But I thought there's no chance that Syracuse had a good defense. I mean, there's no chance, especially if you look at the depth chart. I mean, not knowing a whole lot about these guys, they're so inexperienced. Even after a COVID year, I mean, every team in the country is super experienced. But after the D-line, there's no one older than a sophomore who starts on this defense and really in the 2 deep. So I thought this defense would be just a sieve when I was looking at my initial prep, but then you dive into the numbers and the defense is great. That's the biggest surprise to me.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, like, you see a guy like Rob Hanna, you think, oh, he's a freshman, but he actually had to play a lot last year as well because of injuries and stuff. So they're inexperienced, but they're also, like, more experienced than they should be for how young they are at this stage.
Real quick, football season is back and better than ever. All eyes are on the gridiron as teams are back to start another football season. And as always, BetOnline is your #1 spot for all the pro and college football action this season. With an updated site and interface and even more odds, props, and contests, BetOnline.ag is your #1 source for everything football. So head on over to the website or use your phone to sign up today and receive your 100% welcome bonus when you use our promo code LOCKEDON. That's doubling your initial deposit just for signing up. Also, you can use the promo code NFL100 as well. From football, basketball, boxing, right to your favorite Vegas casino games, don't wait to take advantage of the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports, and it's what Tim and I use to bet on all of our sports as well. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts.
What else kind of stood out when you looked into Syracuse a little bit more?
Well, just real quick on that, Tim. I mean, you guys both know this because you've made play-by-play charts before, but there's nothing more frustrating than seeing a guy listed as a freshman who's actually in like his third year. So instead of just going through the roster and putting in the class and the height and weight and hometown like I normally would, I had to take the extra step to go to his player page and be like, is he really a freshman? Like, are we sure he's a freshman? Because
well, at least you got to just leave redshirt senior on Aaron Services from your 2018 boards.
Yeah. Just add a few R's in there. Redshirt.
Right.
But yeah, the other thing that surprised me, I guess, is that Tommy DeVito still hasn't grasped hold of the quarterback position 4 years after we all assumed that he was the second coming. So that's kind of strange. And preparing for two quarterbacks, I mean, it's no issue for me. I'd probably prepare for the backup anyway. But I've been kind of intrigued to see how Liberty prepares for both of these guys and if it's really an advantage. We had Wake Forest week 1. They played Old Dominion. Old Dominion was doing the same thing. Two quarterbacks. We're not going to reveal the starter. Ooh, as if Old Dominion Wake Forest because
close to the vest.
Yeah, because Wake Forest doesn't know that DJ Mack is starting. But that was one of those things where it's kind of similar to Syracuse. It's like, guys, cut the BS. We all know who's starting here. Like Old Dominion, based on the pedigree of their three quarterbacks, it was easy. You knew who was going to start. And so we were talking with Wake Forest coaches, and we were like, do you know who's going to start? We did at this point because the Old Dominion coach had told us. Wake Forest didn't. And he was like, to be honest with you guys, full transparency, like, it's not that big of an advantage. I actually think Old Dominion's coach said that. He was like, to be honest, guys, it's not that big of an advantage. Maybe it's college football coaches, so any advantage they can have, they'll take it.
Right.
But they're going to prepare for both guys anyway. And I think structurally, what Liberty's coaches told us this week is structurally they're not going to change anything defensively based on which quarterback plays. They might have to in-game adjust a little bit, but I think it doesn't really matter. All that to say, but the fact that Syracuse is still doing a two-quarterback thing is pretty wild to me.
Yeah, I mean, with Hugh Freeze and preparing for this, first of all, when you guys did your Zooms or whatever, was he in his hospital bed? What was his whole setup like?
That was too easy, Ty. I thought about asking the SID, like, is he going to be in a hospital bed? Like, how many years are we going to do that joke? I did bring it up though on our production meeting Monday. I was like, I know it's been a couple years, guys, but hospital bed game, like any excuse.
It was the Syracuse game.
It was the Syracuse game. It was his first game at Liberty. So it's pretty pertinent, but at this point, it's like that horse has been dead for a year. We're just
funny story on that is I was there with our good friend Jonathan Hoppy. I am in your guys' class, but you guys had already graduated somehow, and I was still calling games for the student radio station.
Yeah, people are hitting the SAP button on our inside jokes right now.
Right. Anyway, quick story is Hoppy and I called the game, and he was directly across from us in the hospital bed. But you're so focused on like the game, and we don't have a monitor near us or anything. So we got done with the game, and we had no idea that he was in the hospital the entire time. And I mean, we were blown away. We go on Twitter, we're like, oh, how do we not bring this up? Like, we stink. Like, what just happened? How do we
Our careers are over.
Take a photo.
Wow, talk about a blind spot in your prep, Tim.
I know. Just got to be ready. Got to look across and see.
That's
if
why you're here. And Drew's about to call this game for real on Friday night.
Right. Exactly.
He wasn't in a hospital bed for the meeting, but he was great. He gave us some good stuff. He's a nice guy.
So with this two quarterback system, what do you see out of each guy, and who do you think should be the starter?
So I've been so excited to drop this on you guys. I've been thinking about.
Oh, he's got takes. Let me give you a Colin Cowherd-esque take, right?
Oh, yes.
Tommy DeVito's the longtime girlfriend. You've been dating her for a while. She's good to you. You like her. Listen, she's not the one. You're not going to marry her. You know that, but you're comfortable and you like it. Garrett Schrader's the girl at the bar. Garrett Schrader shoots you a look from across the bar, and you're like, what do we have here? This seems interesting. This seems adventurous. This seems exotic. But then your friend nudges you in the elbow and says, hey, that girl's a 4. Your girlfriend might be a 6, okay? We're not talking about like a supermodel here. But she's still cuter than that girl, and you're only looking at that girl because she's new, right? We like the new and the unknown. Garrett Schrader is not better than Tommy DeVito. I'm sorry. from what we've seen so far. Maybe he will be after another year in the system. Right now, he's not. So don't dump your girlfriend, Tommy DeVito. Don't cheat on DeVito just because Garrett Schrader is somewhat cute on this night. He's not as good looking as Tommy DeVito.
And here's Joy with
exactly
the news.
my thoughts. Yeah. No, but that's a perfect way of encapsulating it, because I think if we let go of DeVito altogether and we went to Schrader, then we'd quickly realize, oh shoot, like it was better when we actually had that girlfriend, like right. that long-time relationship, we had that for a reason. And I really wanted Schrader to be good because, let's face it, DeVito hasn't really won the job, but he hasn't been that good. And maybe he will be good in a couple weeks or so, but we don't really have time. This is a big game against Liberty, and the best opportunity to win the game is by playing Tommy DeVito.
Yeah, I totally agree. Now, the one argument, I guess, for Schrader would be, it seems to me Syracuse's best chance to beat really good teams like Liberty, and Liberty's a really good team, would be use Schrader, run the ball, basically be a triple option offense, basically be what Florida was with Tim Tebow, and play really good defense. Because as we've talked about, the defense is great. So play ball control and really good defense. I guess I could see it. I covered Auburn when Joey Gatewood was there. I don't know if you guys remember him, but he's like a 6'6" big guy. I mean, he was a little Cam Newton-esque. Really good, really athletic, really good running the ball, but he was benched for Bo Nix. And that Auburn defense was unbelievably good. And so hindsight is 20/20, but I kept thinking, play Gatewood and just don't throw it until you absolutely have to. Run the read option and just keep it on the ground and take the air out of the ball, and don't let the other offenses come out. I mean, you're playing in the SEC. If you can keep the ball away from a team like Alabama or Florida, that's what I think you should do. So for Syracuse, I'm thinking you're playing against Liberty. Malik Willis is super dynamic, maybe the best quarterback in his class. I think the best offense against Liberty is a great defense, and hand in hand with that is time of possession. But again, as you guys talked about on the show earlier this week, because I do listen, I don't even think Schrader is necessarily better with his legs than DeVito. It's just different, I mean, I think DeVito is probably faster straight line. The only reason I bring up the Tebow Gatewood thing is because Schrader's pretty thick, and I think you could kind of run a similar type of offense that those teams would have. But no, DeVito, I mean, your upside is just so much higher with DeVito. You got to play him.
You brought up the running game, so you've got a little bit of input on what goes on the broadcast. Are we getting the Sean Tucker tweets on the broadcast? Because I don't think anyone's done that yet. These are like, what's up?
I'm campaigning so hard.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm planting the flag. Here's the deal. Like, we joke about that, but it's honestly awesome content. And
it's a cult.
It's great. Like, the Magic Johnson tweets are a huge deal, okay? And Sean Tucker's doing the exact same thing. Sean Tucker is Magic Johnson for Syracuse fans. And not only that, it's a great excuse for us to get into the penalties from last week, because we're going to tell the audience a lot about Sean Tucker, which is that he just had one of the best games in Syracuse history, but he's tweeting about how he needs to clean up his penalties. That's pornography for old school
Accountability
football.
Counts.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Like, high school football coaches will see that and be like, that's what I want for my kids. I want my son to be like
They're going to retire 34 at their high schools.
Exactly. Right. So everyone's going to love that. Then it leads us into the conversation. Hey, it wasn't just him. Syracuse was a disaster from a penalty perspective last week against Albany. It doesn't bite you against the Danes, but it will against the Flames, something like that. So I think you can show the tweets legitimately. It's as a vehicle to talk about the penalties, but also because they're incredible.
Do people not understand that these are hilarious? Like, these are so funny.
They're so funny. He's just reading the box score, basically.
Yeah.
Do we think he's actually tweeting them, or is it like his dad that is just summarizing the game? I think there's a decent shot it's like someone else.
I think he's.
But I don't want to admit that. I mean, I want it to be him.
Maybe he's got a super young sibling that's just learning like how to spell and all that stuff, and he just has to write up these little game recaps for him. Maybe that's it.
I think he's tweeting. I think it's Tucker. At least I hope it is.
But I'm with you. Yeah, I do think it's him. I do think it's him. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey, did you know that Built Bar has 9 delicious flavors, including the occasional limited time flavor as well? And guess what? This week, their limited time flavor, cookie dough chunk. You tell me cookie dough, I'm in. And Built Bar and cookie dough, I'm double in. You if you talk to Built Bar fans, they're always passionate about what their favorites are. And if you don't know their entire lineup, you're just missing out. There's something for everyone, whether it's chocolate flavors, some coconut flavors, some fruit flavors. My personal favorite is the peanut butter brownie, but that could be put to the test once I get my hands on some cookie dough chunks as well this week. So if you haven't tried them all, you can get a mix box where you're going to get 2 of each of the 9 flavors, and they're super healthy for you as well. Most bars only have 130 calories, 17 grams of protein, and only 4 grams of sugar, and only 4 net carbs. So get in on this right now. Go to BuiltBar.com. Use our promo code LOCKED15, and you'll get 15% off your first order. That's promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at BuiltBar.com. All right, college football fanatics, have you heard about Prize Picks? Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. I use it, I love it, and I know that you will too. They're the leader in college sports daily fantasy. You can't really get that at any of the other sites. They offer more props than anyone in the world. All the star players from the Power 5, as well as some mid-major players that you might not even know, but they're racking up points for you. Like I remember last year, no one really knew who Jarrett Patterson was, but guess what? He was going out and scoring like 8 touchdowns in a game one time. So get in on all of this right now with Prize Picks. All users that deposit and use our promo code Locked On will receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100. That's promo code Locked On for 100% instant deposit match of up to $100. You pick 2 to 5 players, take an over-under on their projections, and you can win up to 10 times on any entry. It's just you versus the projected numbers. And you can even mix your sports as well, whether you want to take LeBron combined with an under on Patrick Mahomes. I wouldn't recommend an under on Patrick Mahomes, by the way, if you watch the guy play. I mean, he's fantastic. Use their award-winning app on both the App Store and Google Play. You can do it in 60 seconds or less, so you might as well get in on it. It's fast. You can win. It's great. It's college daily fantasy. What is not to like there? Prize Picks is safe and offers fast withdrawals. Don't hesitate. Check out Prize Picks or go to your app store and download the app today. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. Go to prizepicks.com and get in on all this action right now.
Well, we got a good take out of you on the quarterback situation. Let's get your take on the Sean Tucker number 44 discussion, right? Because you sent us that note this week on your chart. I don't know how much of it was a joke. Just give me your take, man.
All right. Well, let me bring the heat right now. Again, I listened to the podcast and I heard your take, Tyler. Couldn't disagree more. Get him in 44. Why do we retire numbers? Retiring numbers is the dumbest thing ever. Just ask the Yankees.
I'm with you on that.
I'm
with you on that.
Every player is above 20 on the Yankees because they've retired every single digit number. Stop retiring numbers. It's ridiculous. Put them in the rafters, but let someone wear it. I mean, 44. Think about Syracuse from a recruiting perspective. You have every disadvantage in the world. The history, at least recently, isn't great. History is awesome, as we're about to talk about with number 44, but no one who's 18 knows about that history.
So do they even want to wear 44?
But yes, but that's when you sell it. That's when you say, hey, listen, I know the weather's terrible. I know we play indoors. I know we've been bad for a while. You might not like the bright orange uniforms, but you're number 44 if you come to Cuse. You know who wore 44? Jim Brown. Ever heard of him? And then
no. That's where they say no.
They've heard of Jim Brown. They've heard of Jim Brown. Okay, they've heard of Jim Brown. Ernie Davis, maybe not. Floyd Little, rest in peace, maybe not. But if you put that highlight tape on and you say 44 is really special to the people here, and you can wear that, Sean Tucker. Sean Tucker's already there, obviously. But just bring it back. Bring it back. That's my opinion.
I've got no problem with bringing it back, but I mean, the guy torched Albany, okay? Jim Brown would have put those numbers up in like the first 5 minutes against Albany.
This is true. I'm not saying Sean Tucker is Jim Brown, but I'm saying he should be in 44.
Right. I guess then the argument is it's like the 22 in Syracuse lacrosse a little bit. It's good as a recruiting tool, but then you're kind of tarnishing the legacy a little bit if your team goes like 3-7 or whatever.
You get Jordan Evans. That's what happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I sent you guys that text, admittedly, I was thinking that 44 was more like 22, where someone always has it. I didn't realize that 44 hasn't been dusted off in a long, long time. But again, I feel like it should be. And Sean Tucker, maybe he's the guy to carry that torch. And plus, here's the deal. If Sean Tucker he doesn't end up being that good, no one thinks he's going to be Jim Brown or Floyd Little or Ernie Davis. I'm not saying that. But even if he doesn't end up being good, period, and Syracuse ends up sucking, period, no one's going to remember that, right? I mean, no one's going to remember, no offense to Jordan Evans, no one will remember him in 10, 15, 20 years. And he might listen as a Syracuse native. So I'm sorry, Jordan. But it's like it's fine. You know, if Sean Tucker isn't great, no one will say his name when we're talking about Brown, Davis, and Little. Just give him the jersey.
I don't know. I need to see more still. Like, if you're getting some 5-star running back, if you're getting a 5-star running back, that's your recruiting tool. That's your recruiting tool.
How about a 4-star for a change? I mean, gosh.
I know. What do you think Jim Brown was? Jim Brown probably wasn't a 4-star. What do you think the old scribes were giving him? They were probably like 5-star, 5-star, 5-star. Oh, this guy plays 10 different sports, 5-star.
Yeah.
So.
Jim Brown, lacrosse, he was definitely 5 stars. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I think the only argument for not giving it to him would be you want to save it for that 4-star prized recruit. I understand that. But I think
that guy could be Tommy DeVito, and he could, not live up to expectations.
So put DeVito in 44.
You're probably, after spending 2 years in Alabama, you're probably cringing over the statement you just made, prized 4-star recruit.
I know. 4 stars don't even get offers from Nick Saban.
Oh, man.
He's yearning for
what else about Liberty stood out when you were talking with Hugh Freeze? I just need more of this whole experience with Hugh Freeze. He's just too much of a character. We need more insight from him.
He is. I mean, what an interesting guy. So I did learn that Hugh Freeze's handicap is 2.4, which is very good. I mean, if there are no golfers.
Yeah, almost Tim-like.
That is really good. Almost as good as Tim Leonard.
Doesn't have the cup, though, but that's all right.
Hugh Freeze did tell us, though, that his golf game is just like his offense. It's all smoke and mirrors. Tee to green, he's not very good, but his approach shots are awesome. He's very good with the short game. In all seriousness, I think the most interesting thing he said, 2 things about Malik Willis. Number 1, Hugh Freeze said they probably only called 6 design runs all year in 3 games. Malik Willis, if you look at the numbers, has obviously run more than 6 times this year. So a lot of that is improv. And he's very dangerous when he's improvising, as we all know. And that kind of led into a conversation about protecting him. I basically asked, how do you balance letting Malik be Malik with protecting your star quarterback and probably your best player? And he and the offensive coordinator, Ken Austin, both said the same thing, which is that it's a fine line, but you kind of have to let him be him. And he doesn't slide very often, but they wish he would. He doesn't take huge hits. It's a little Lamar Jackson-esque where he never really slides or dives, but he doesn't take massive hits because he's just so quick and so sudden. And the other thing with Malik Willis is I asked him, how does Malik stay focused with all the noise about him being a top 10 draft pick, potentially number 1 overall? And later in the conversation, we talked about Hugh Freeze. I mean, he's also got speculation around him at all times. So it's kind of cool how Hugh Freeze can sort of relate to Malik Willis in that sense. There's all this noise around him, all this hype. And it sounds like they both are pretty good at handling it. Hugh Freeze just built a house with his wife up on the mountain in Lynchburg. Whether you want to believe it or not, he does say he's the happiest he's ever been at Liberty. I believe him when he says that, but I also think that if, Auburn came calling for real, that he might go. But anyway, all that to say, I thought it was interesting how he says Malik Willis is pretty dialed in. He doesn't really get on social media. It doesn't seem like he's distracted by all that other stuff.
Are we going to see kind of like what we saw with Lamar Jackson where all the Heisman tape was in the Carrier Dome? Are we going to see that on Friday night?
That is the fear. That definitely could happen. I don't know who it's going to be. I'm looking at my chart right now. Could we see maybe Jahad Carter?
Who's the Antoine Cordy?
I think it's Jahad Carter. Yeah.
Carter
that's a good pick.
Yeah.
I got Rob Hanna in that category.
Rob Hanna, that's his career highlight, is getting hurdled by Malik Willis at the Carrier Dome. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like we talked about, the defense is so different, but when Lamar came to the Dome and just torched us, I'm having flashbacks to that game as we talk about Malik Willis, because he's probably the closest thing to Lamar that Syracuse is going to see since that game. I mean, Malik Willis is the real deal. So I hope they figured some things out over the past 4 years.
Yeah. So you think Liberty is legit good? I mean, I guess you did Old Dominion, Wake Forest. You saw Wake play against Old Dominion. The tough part is we haven't really seen them play anyone in particular so far to this point. But based on what they did to Old Dominion, what they've done so far, what they did last year, you think they're legit good?
I do. Looking at the schedule, the only red flag is they only beat Troy by 8, but that was on the road. Troy's a decent program, actually. Chip Lindsey is the coach. He's been a Power 5 major school offensive coordinator. That's a decent program on the rise. I do think Liberty is legit. They've won 15 of their past 16. Their only loss over the past 2 years was to NC State, and they had a field goal to win it, but it got blocked. They only lost by 1 point. You know, they have monster wins. They beat Virginia Tech. They crushed Syracuse, crushed them at the Carrier Dome last year. I know, and that's a Boeheim reference for the folks at home. We crushed them. So they did. I mean, they basically embarrassed Syracuse at the Carrier Dome last year. I know there were no fans, but still, this is a really, really good Liberty team. And if we're going to guess the line, which I know we are, I have to admit, that I've been cheating. It's inevitable.
Well, we have to.
We know you've been cheating. So
when you're preparing for a game, you're going to see the spread. It's just going to happen. I mean, and it was crazy how it happened. Within like 30 minutes, someone texted me that they bet on the game and told me the spread. And I saw it twice on the internet. So I know what the spread is. I think it's a touchdown, right? Is that accurate?
It's moved to 6.
Yeah, I think
last I saw was 6. Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that's pretty fair. I think that's very reasonable. You know,
really,
Willis is the truth. Yeah, I mean, now if I had to gamble on the game, I might have to go Herb Street.
All right, what you got, Musburger?
So,
what you got, Al?
Reese, this is the point where Reese Davis says, "All right, Herb Street's calling the game, so he can't make a pick. But what are the keys?
Right.
Before you get on that helicopter to wherever you're going." If I did have to bet, I would take the point. I'd take Syracuse with the points. You know, they're at home. They're a Power 5 team. I think they're improved from last year. I still think that, you know, Liberty is a better team, but just considering that there will be fans back in there, it'll be Friday night. The place will be juiced up. I would take Syracuse with the points. Now, that being said, I think the line is fair because Liberty, in my opinion, is one of the 25 best teams in the country.
But you're probably going up against one of the 25 worst teams in the country. That would be my counterpoint. Like,
come on.
All right, Ty. Come on. Negative Nancy over here.
Yeah,
no, really. That's what we get accused of.
Yeah, I know. Syracuse, though, is not that bad. Like, I hate to rain on your negative parade, but Syracuse is not as bad as I was expecting when I started this prep. And honestly, like, as alumni, I think we talk more crap about the team than anyone. Like, this team sucks. You know, just throw this season in the trash.
Fold the program.
They really don't. I mean, the defense is good. You know, we'll see how they do against a real test in Malik Willis. But I don't know. I mean, I think the line is fair, but I don't expect Liberty to blow them out for sure.
Syracuse isn't bad. It's just puzzling that this is year 6 of Dino, and that we're saying the defense is good, the offense and like the offense is running the ball and it's not moving quickly. It just hasn't played out how we envisioned it. But
yeah,
that's
the crazy thing. I guess I'll amend one of my answers. The biggest surprise when I've been prepping this game is that Syracuse does not move fast anymore. You know, when we were there, it was orange is the new fast. And calling games, you couldn't get a word in unless you were the play-by-play guy. It was bang, bang, bang. And now they run like one of the slowest offenses in the country. What happened?
Yeah, now you can throw in an Affleck trivia question in between what you're talking about. Like, it just works. You don't have to wait for them to go on defense to do that stuff anymore.
We can throw up a Sean Tucker tweet between plays.
Right? There you go. Exactly. Real quick, and then we'll get you out. Favorite Syracuse football memory from your time at school? And yes, there is a correct answer on this.
Okay, so I'm just going to talk through this because I've never been asked this. Syracuse Clemson Friday night win was, I think, our junior year. Ty, is that right?
Yes, junior year. Mm-hmm.
I, an idiot, was interning with the Syracuse Crunch, and I was at the Crunch game. So I was driving back from Maxima. I was like, wow, they're really celebrating this Crunch win out here.
What a win.
We knocked out the
Newcastle Court has 97.7 on.
Yeah, exactly. So I missed that, so I can't in good faith say that's the best memory. One from our senior year, Ty, calling the game at Clemson together, even though
that was fun.
Didn't win that game. That was unbelievable. It's between that and the Camping World Bowl, where we did win. That memory has been a little bit tarnished, I got to be honest, by the recent history of the program, because I really thought that we were in on the ground floor, man. We won 10 games that year. I thought this was the start of something beautiful. Dino was rumored to be going to like Oklahoma and all these big jobs.
Now USC. Clay Helton getting fired was our worst nightmare.
Dude, you're so right. That's such a great point. How far the program has fallen. But no, I'll say at Clemson our senior year, Ty, because not to get too sappy, but we were together and we've been friends since day one at Cuse. That was amazing. It was a cool atmosphere, and we almost did it. I mean, there was a point where we thought we were going to do it when we converted that fourth down before it got called back.
I remember we turned to each other and we're like, "This is it! They're going to do it."
I'd say that was my favorite memory, and then. I do remember when Eric Dungey just got cracked by Xavier Thomas, I think is his name. He was like a top 5 recruit in his class. He was a freshman that year. Dungey's trying to lead the miraculous drive to win the game.
Oh,
he's like inside his own 5-yard line, just pulverized by Xavier Thomas. I do remember that. And then everyone stormed the field because they always do at Clemson. So we were on the field. It was an awesome game. So I'd say that was number one.
The answer I was looking for was when we stole the Tito's from the West Virginia coaches after the Camping World Bowl.
I didn't know what rating this podcast got from if it was rated PG-13, but I was thinking about the Tito's, that's for sure. For the folks at home, after the Camping World Bowl, we had about 8 students down there. We somehow finessed all these credentials. We had like our entire class in Orlando, and on the bus back to the media hotel, we found a bottle of Tito's, and we lifted it.
So the bottle there were 2 bottles, and we were situated right next to the West Virginia coaches, and they had someone like bring in a bunch of Tito's for the West Virginia coaches because they thought they were going to win. They're playing the school up north,
right?
And they didn't win. They stormed out pissed, and so we're like 22-year-old college students were like, hell yeah, we'll just take that with us. And we took it with us, and we had a great time with it that night.
That Tito's bottle is the stuff of legend. No wonder West Virginia got their asses beat in that game. They were drinking Tito's.
Right.
Yeah. All right, Drew. Well, we appreciate you coming on. Really excited to watch you on Friday night. You can follow him on Twitter at Drudel25. And we're looking forward to watching you, man. This is going to be really, really cool for all of us. Cannot wait to watch you on Friday.
Thanks, guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. Tune in.